Hello, my name is Shahriyar and my student ID is VPK3065. Um, I'm here to discuss about issues in cash flow statement. On the introduction, we have cash flow and income statement. From cash flow, we are just taking out operating activities and financing activities from income statement. From in between, we are just taking investing activities. If we go for the introduction, cash flow statement is an important part of the financial statement of the company, which shows summarized account of sourcing and utilizing the cash flow in the company. I will just try to be as brief because we don't have much time. During the year, net result shows the fluctuation of cash and cash equivalent. Income statement is the statement that gives us the information about the company's profit and loss. Income statement used for the management for the comparison between budget and item wise budget. It helps to pointing out these impact that direct impact on financial performance of the business. And here comes the cash flow statement. Um, Reporting the inflow cash and outflow cash during the specific time period, closing cash and cash equivalent, not include non-cash item in the cash flow like depreciation and amortization, reflects short-term liquidity and viability. We'll talk about usefulness for the investor. Making investment decision for the investors, they see both financial performance and cash generation ability of the company. Investors assess profit margin, revenue, and expenses. Like every businessman, I believe that before going to invest in some company, they used to check out the income statement and balance sheet or the financial position of the company because they expect a good output from there. Assess break-even points after using the data of profit and loss statement. Here comes the company which were being assigned. Number one, that's BHP. For all the three companies, the cash flow statement reflect the major inflow cash was the receipt from the customers, proceed from the borrowing and issues of share capital. These three sources were the most common sources of funds of all three companies. The other one was Fantastic Limited. From the analysis of the cash flow statement of Fantastic Limited, it can be concluded that the company is at not a cash rich company. The overall cash flow from the operation are negative, which indicates that the company for financing on the cash flow from the financing activity in the form of borrowing and share capital. Fantastic Limited also shows a weak profitability as the payment made to the company, suppliers, and employees exceed the revenue and earned at the net cash generation from the operation activities is negative. Here comes the BHP Limited. The analysis for the cash flow statement for the 3 years of BHP Limited shows that company is cash rich and performing excessively well in terms of profitability and liquidity. The increased profit and loss over the 3 years period, along with management of the working capital. And here's the last one, that's Santos Limited. The company shows its decent profit and cash generation capabilities through its cash flow statement. The company did not pay any dividend in the year like 2017-18. It has started to pay dividends. The sales are growing over the year and the revenue generation from the operations are sufficient to cover the outflow in operation activities. Out of three companies, it would be advisable to invest in BHP Limited as the analysis of the cash flow statement shows that the performance of BHP Limited shows the highest degree of cash richness and sound management of operation of the company. The company has a record of generating sufficient cash flow from the operations, which was enough to cover up the operating expenses. We are not choosing Fantastic as the cash flow shows a shortage of current funds and poor liquidity position. Santos Limited is also picking up growth, But on comparing with BHP Limited, performance should be given to BHP as it shows stronger growth potential. And here comes the conclusion for all of the three companies. Based on analysis done above, we can conclude that the cash flow statement can give useful insight in the financial affairs of the company. On analysis in the cash flow statement for 3 years of different companies, we learned about the various trend of the different cash flow items. It helps us in understanding financial strength and weakness of each company. It helps us in understanding how the companies are channelizing their cash flow. BHP Limited was found to be the best performer and should be given priority for investment because it has sound cash flow management. They were good in income statement and the balance sheet as well. That's it for today. Thank you.